The snow's coming late enough that we can do
Amen.
this.
Yes.
Let us be thankful for new technology and information and permits us to be recorded so that it can be shared beyond the people that are in the room. But we introduced Liz and Sydney in worship, but I wanted to introduce the third part of the Trinity that came here from Villages and Partnership. Rich Daisner is the Director of Strategic Partnership. He started in July of 2023. He works with individuals, churches, businesses, academic institutions, and other nonprofit organizations in partnership with VIP. He's been here before. He accepted our checks last year. And just a reminder that last year we were focused on water, this year housing, working again with those in partnership for their housing initiatives, and then locally with Family Promise with their homeless prevention fund. So that's where not only the loud money, but the quiet money that we're collecting this year will go as part of that mission initiative. Before that, Rich was in the for-profit sector, working most recently in the area of finance, and he's an active member at the Allentown Presbyterian Church, where he's an elder, and most blessed of all, serves as a shepherd for middle school youth ministry. A special calling.
Thank you.
And thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Carter. And I just want to say thank you to FPCA. We are always so blessed by coming here. The warmth that we get from this congregation is really special. So we not just have just a name in common, but we really feel the warmth of this congregation, and really glad to be here. I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you so much for your Faithful Waters outreach. We were able to put 2 new wells in Malawi, so yeah, it looks like we're getting so we're looking forward to talking to you this year about what we're doing with housing. But so Liz covered a lot about VIP, and one of the things that she spoke about is when our people pick up at least 3 initiatives or 3 programs, that they really move from scarcity to sustainability. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to move quickly, but I want interaction. So if you have questions as I'm going through, just please raise your hand or shout out whatever works, and then we'll go through that. Well, again, welcome, thank you, and as we get started, I'm going to show just a little video here. Because I don't know if everyone knows where Malawi is. So Malawi was a British protectorate. It is considered the poorest peaceful country in the world. One of the reasons we work there. Population of 20 million. 52% of the population is under 18. And as Liz mentioned, that there's, as you can see, it's in the southeast portion of Malawi, and then we are working down in the southeast portion of the country there. It's going to zoom in a second, but they peacefully transitioned to a multi-party democracy, and so next. So we work there in. This one goes. Just struggling with the new technology here. Last year it was just a TV screen. So this is I'm showing a detailed map of the villages we work in, mostly to show a couple things. One, this is where our VIP office is. We're on the edge of the Zomba city there, so we have access to businesses and the things we need to support our friends in the villages. A couple highlights: the Conda Clinic and the demonstration farm. We're going to touch on both of those today, as well as the Warm Heart Secondary School. As I go through the slide, you're going to see those things. But I wanted to give you some perspective on how big this area is. It's only 13 miles. And for you to be like, oh, that's not very much. Well, when your only mode of transportation is foot, 13 miles is pretty far. So it covers we cover a lot of ground here. There's only one paved road that they call the tarmac that runs on the south here, and the rest of it would be dirt roads and paths. So Liz had, and now is everybody was in the service today, right? Mm-hmm. So Liz talked about the kind of poverty. We've been influenced by Hans Rosling's book Factfulness, and instead of being developed world and undeveloped world, he looks at us as levels, level 1 through level 4, the U.S. obviously being level 4, and where we work in Malawi, level 1. So unprotected drinking water. Your mode of transportation is walking. You cook on an open flame, and you eat one meal a day. That's the same thing every day. And what our goal is to move our people from the scarcity of level 1 to sustainability of level 2. And as you can see, uh, the wells that you provided, hopefully they can have some transportation by the bike. Liz showed that video where the woman's riding a bike now. And they eat variety of food because we've helped them with, they've picked up different tools when it comes to um, uh, farming and some of the things we've helped with that. So here's the 6 critical needs of development that VIP focuses on. Um, Poverty is a intricate web of problems. And if you just bring water, that solves one problem. But now, how do you walk to school if the bridge is out? Well, we need infrastructure. If you're hungry when you go to school, are you going to be able to pay attention? We need to deal with food. So we work in all 6 of these critical needs at the same time. It's all interwoven. And but when I say we, I don't mean just Liz and I. We have a staff in Malawi of over 20 people. This is the at the office, but we also have some community workers too. Because the difference with VIP is that we don't go in and tell them what they need. They come to us and tell us what they need. Because it's not us here and them there. It's us here and us there. They're just living in a different part. So our community workers are out there highlighting the most vulnerable and letting our staff know where the critical needs are, and then we go from there. So the 6 critical needs, I'm just going to touch briefly on them. Water, which I've already talked about that you've helped. VIP's impact, we've implemented 146 water points, repaired dysfunctional wells. The thing I want you to take away from that piece is that it's sustainable. We don't just put a well in and leave, but our Malawi staff trains people in the community. When we put a well in, they have a village implementation committee. They talk about who's going to collect some money for water rent that can help with the maintenance of the wells. Because we've gone in and had to fix wells where an NGO came in with great intentions, put a well in, didn't teach anybody how to fix it, and now they got to go back to the river and unclean source. So I thought that was very important to show the sustainability. Here is 85% of our households walk less than 10 minutes. The average person walking to a water point might have to walk about 3 kilometers, which is about almost 2 miles. So you can imagine that only having to walk 10 minutes is a huge improvement in their lives and gives them time to work in the field, gives them time to go to school, gives them time for things that can make their lives more sustainable. I did want to highlight this real quick. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on graphs and details, but in VIP's catchment area, it's even less now, but less than 1% of people walk more than a half an hour for water. And when you look at the national average, which includes cities, 37% of people walk more than a half an hour for water. So you guys have done great work. When we first come into the village, the first thing they ask us is water. Mazi Dimoyo, water is life. But the next thing they want to know is how can they become food secure? So VIP has really poured a lot of time and effort into the agricultural and livestock because they're both important. One of the things we do in livestock, in agriculture, is we have irrigation systems that we've worked with the local chiefs to put in. In addition, and this is just the harvest after one of the irrigation schemes. So you can see here, this is the irrigation tank. The solar pump pumps the water into the cisterns, and then it's gravity fed to the field. And this is a great day. This is the day of harvest. What VIP has done here is that we've made the connection in the cities to buy their produce. So this isn't just growing what you can eat, but it's growing what you can sell. And with that money, they can buy food throughout the year. So another way of improving their lives, not relying just on subsistence farming. I talked about a farm. One of the other ways in agriculture that we are helping our brothers and sisters in Malawi is that since you're a subsistence farmer, you grow what you eat. If you if you don't grow, your family doesn't eat. So when we've come in and said, hey, there's new technology, there's conservation agriculture, there's different crop varieties you can plant. Well, it's going to be very hard for that person to take that risk on their own to grow something because they know if they don't grow, they're not going to eat. So the demonstration farm is a way for us to take on that risk where we can grow the crops that we're going to show them. We bring in lead farmers from around the areas. They can see what's happened. They go back and they teach the farmers in their local communities. This is the warehouse at the farm. We're in the middle of this construction project of bringing the farm to fruition. We have 55 acres. And then we're building a 5-acre campus. On there will be a farm manager house. There'll be classrooms so we can bring people in from all over the area and teach them different techniques. There's quite a few other things there, some dormitories, some housing for livestock and how to treat them, a clean room and classroom. So it's a really exciting project that's going to bring a lot of economic development to the area, but more importantly, it's going to teach our brothers and sisters in Malawi how to farm better. So, in addition to uh, agriculture, there's some livestock that we deal, and we do what they call a pass along program. Here you can see this is Beatrice. I went to her house when I was in Malawi a year and a half ago, and the goats are all over the place, which is beautiful. When I was there, I met somebody who'd been in Malawi in the very beginning with Liz. And I said, what's the biggest difference? And he said, the animals. There's animals everywhere. And that's because we've distributed over 1,900 goats, pigs, chickens. And the way it works is the vulnerable family gets an animal, and as soon as its first offspring comes, it's identified to the next vulnerable family. And then after that, they keep the offspring and they become what they call in Malawi a living bank. So they can, as they get more and more, they can take them into town to sell them. They can use them for food. But the goats really add a whole nother dimension. It's another way for a family to earn money. And you know what? Instead of me telling you, I'm going to show you guys a little video about it. How's that sound? The videos are much more interesting. This is just a little. One of the things real quick is you see the women chanting. They just break into song, and we don't know what they're saying, but they're usually chanting something like that, and then they have this call and response way of doing it. It's really beautiful. In the interest of time, I'm gonna push through here. Oops, sorry. To a couple things, but I want Sydney to come up because I want you guys to have a chance to maybe ask him some questions or anything. I don't need him to speak anymore about his story, but if you guys have some questions for him, I wanted you to have the ability in a more intimate setting to ask Sydney some questions. Um, as I said, we have the 6 critical needs. We went through 2. There's 4 more. I might go quickly through them, but first, before we do anything else, I wanted you to have a chance to chat with Sydney before our time here comes to a close. Did anybody have anything they had any questions specifically for Sydney or anything that you thought might be that you had questions about when he was talking?
How hard was it to learn English? How difficult?
I don't know. I can't remember, but it was very hard.
It's a very hard language to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of my moments of learning English. I remember like this. I was staying with one of villages in partnership. Mr. Marabu, Wellings Marabu, and Liz came from US and she was visiting. And then she asked me like, "How is school going?" I said, "I'm fine." That was when I was, I think, in elementary school, but I still remember that day. You know, so somebody said, "Oh, she's asking how is your school? It's going well."
Your English is very good. And are you at Wheaton College now?
Oh, yes. Now I'm studying at Wheaton College. It's a 1-year program, humanitarian and disaster leadership program. So development work and management crisis like tornadoes and stuff, cyclones. So more questions now.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of what you want to do with your degree?
I do. I do. That's one question that I get to be asked every day. So it keeps on changing. But I do. So just looking back, like the picture that Liz was showing in classroom, like I think of myself like 15 years ago. So I feel like I want to work with the young group to just come alongside them, just like VIP did with my life, like coming alongside me and encouraging me. So I that's like a long-term goal. That's what I want to do. But like with the program that I'm studying, I would be able to work with non-profit organizations. So that's something that I hope to do in the future.
And perhaps government as well?
Sure. It depends. So, but yes, yes.
Did you have a question too? Yeah.
I was wondering one thing that you think would enrich the Christian church or America from village life.
Mhm. So, my study is helping me a lot. We are reading, like, we are using this book called Should Samaritan. I don't know if you're familiar with that book.
What's it called?
Should Samaritan.
Should Samaritan?
Should.
Oh, Shrewd. Shrewd should Samaritan. Okay.
No, no idea.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Now I can brag about that book. So what this book like is sharing is like some of the things like sometimes you choose people to choose not to be like to learn what is going on around like their backyard or outside very far away. Sometimes it's like but you don't want to be part of that. But also sometimes you don't know like what is going on out there. So like growing up in my community, I never thought of attending like secondary education. Like that's for me, like that's a big thing to attend like a secondary school because like I didn't have the knowledge and inspiration about that. So in America, I might say like some of the people don't know, like they don't have access to the information of what is going on despite all these like technology that is available. So by like interacting the way like Villages in Partnership is doing with you. I think it's like sharing with you and bringing you to your attention that information, and that is helping you to understand and also like to meet people like me who is coming from that area and share with you the real experience and what is going on. So I think like by sharing information and also letting other people know what is happening, like tell a friend to tell a friend about Malawi and also other places where they need support. So it's like sharing of information. Some if you don't know, you're going to do nothing about it. So like I think it's like communicating. So that's something I feel like enlightening people here would help.
In the Western Hemisphere, part of the world that we live in,
Mhm.
is a very small country that is ahead of almost all of us in education.
Mhm.
And the reason is that their constitution mandates that 50% of the national budget be spent on education. The country is Costa Rica. They have a better, higher rate of literacy than we do, or Canada,
Mhm.
or any other nation in the Western Hemisphere. So they have concentrated on education, which has not only given them high rate of literacy,
Mhm.
it also has given them, and I'm not sure how it ties in,
Mhm.
but an excellent um, medical system
Mhm.
to the point that it's become a very desirable place to retire in currently.
Mhm.
And, I just pass that on because if you put that emphasis, a lot of things follow, it seems to me.
Yeah, that's a
Most of
very
us waste so much time with our governments in military and other side issues that education is a far better place.
yeah. I mean like I do agree, but also like I don't defend my government, but also like the government like they do live in a constrained budget, like they don't have enough, so they might prioritize like should we channel the money to food or to disaster like building some blocks and whatever, but having like some partners like non-profit, like for example, VIP, World Vision, Compassion International, and other who are working there. They're helping. Like the community that I come from now, there are like 30 plus students who have been able to attend like I mean, like college, like vocational, there are so many, but for a college, only from the area that uh, Rich was showing you, it's a huge, like, that's something that I'm so proud of VIP, giving us opportunity to be able to attend. It has never happened. I am the most educated now in my area. I'm attending like the second degree, so like that I'm a record breaker for the community, So that could not be possible if not for partners like non-profit working in the area and helping us. So the government is willing to help the people, but you have so many politics around everything. So
And the other thing that Sydney brought up is that the government just doesn't have resources because there's nobody to tax.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when 90% are living in poverty,
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
no one to tax.
They're not even living in the taxing system. They're subsistence farmers,
Yeah.
Picture 1640 where, you're just growing what you eat. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Sydney. So in these the way education system's set up, you have to test to get to the next level. So the test is the same no matter where you are in Malawi. So they're in rural villages with no running water and no electricity to study at night. It's in the right off the equator, so it's 6 o'clock, it's dark. And they're walking far, they're fetching water, and they're competing with kids that are in the cities that have electricity, they have laptops. So to see Sydney and other children in this area that we work in to be able to rise and to compete with the cream of the crop is a really incredible. Yeah.
I mean, each and every stage here, you cannot move from like preschool to primary if you don't pass the exam. Like every step, they need to test you to get to college. So
Yeah,
it's,
with the limited
Yeah,
resources,
sure.
they're not gonna pay for just anybody to go, right? So,
uh-huh.
I'm anticipating that at some point, the village that you come from is going to get into electricity.
They do have electricity now. Not like we have that access to electricity.
So my question is,
Mhm, mhm,
how do you feel about cell phones? Because you said you want to work with youth,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And you know, one of the arguments right now is to make sure that youth stay away from cell phones.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering how you feel about that, coming from an area where you didn't have them. And I'm assuming that you're in an area that does have them.
It's already there. I mean, every development has like positives and negatives to it. We cannot run away from that. Coming of VIP in my area has some negatives and some positives. It's not like some people look at the same organization like, oh, they're doing nothing here. They're just here to make money and go to America. Like some of the, according to their perception and what they have heard or experienced in the past, but for people who are participating directly and understanding and interacting with VIP, like they do bring some partners like from churches, like from here. Some of you maybe have been to Malawi. Like, people can even sleep within the village and they can eat and live and experience what the life is like starting like at the dawn of the day, like what is happening. Okay, you wake up, you sweep, you clean dishes, you got the food, like giving them like perspective of what is like everyday life in the villages, right? So for people who don't understand that, like they might see it as a waste of time because they have no idea, they don't have that knowledge. So coming to cell phones in the village, I need my people to be technologically advanced and understanding. That's how they're going to Google how to make a good blade like on the internet they can get.
And to also to get to market.
Yes, to get to market and find their way around town. It's just like for me, like I'm at Wheaton College and coming from Malawi, I've already been in college before. But like I was talking with Rich, I get lost like for not knowing which classroom am I supposed to be. Like this is second semester. Like last semester I was going to class, I knew which class where. But for this semester, I had to punch in like information on my cell phone to locate, remind me like, hey, you're meeting in Telegram room 225 and you have to be there. Like those are my personal reminders. So like Google Map will also help me like direct me, hey, turn your left and go there. So they need also this kind of information and knowledge. They also reason why people don't drink dirty water. They don't know like bacteria. They can get bacteria from the running dirty water. So those are some of the issues that they need to learn from the internet.
we're gonna take one more because I gotta get Sydney to the airport. So I really apologize. The snow kind of pushed us up. We didn't want him sitting in the airport till tomorrow. So we moved up his flight, but yes, go ahead.
One thing that caught my attention of one of the videos, where the woman said they had to move out of their home in the rainy season because the roof leaks.
Mhm.
And I've heard something similar experience from another person I know from Uganda. Is there any effort to help with housing or like how to improve so that people can stay in their homes year round?
So I think coming alongside the like villages in partnerships, for example, like working with other partners, because these people they do get some little money, and that's the fact. But maybe they need to learn how to save. They need to know like how to prioritize. But sometimes it's like, hey, if I just have like $5, should I invest this in buying iron sheets or should I take this for food? So, like participating, as they have said, like agriculture and savings and other stuff, that might help them to start, like, changing from that survival mode. Now they'll be sustainable. They'll be able to save, and through savings, bank and loan, they're able to save enough to buy iron sheets and also to, like that's the way, like, there's no shortcut. They need to go through all these painful stages for them to get to that level, but through the organization coming alongside.
Did you come from that, Sydney? Did you have a thatched roof?
Yeah, yeah, that I grew up I grew up in that kind of environment. Like every year you need like so like every year you like when it's about rainy season, like in maybe August, that's when you're busy. Like you know the rain is about to come, so you need to find where the plastic sheets. And these are in season. You don't have also food, so you need to prioritize. Should I buy a plastic sheet to cover my house, or should I buy food? Right? Like we hate poverty, but we don't have the way out. The resources are not just there. So partnership with the
Yeah, I was gonna say with the different tools that they can pick up as their lives get better and they have food security, the next thing is to put the iron sheet on the roof. There, you'll see that in many of the videos when someone has moved on from this extreme poverty and they, maybe they had a couple good harvests in a row. Now we have a little extra, we can pay the school fees and now we can fix the roof. And even in the video that Liz showed, because he was successful in other areas of development, he was able to rebuild it. In the back there.
I watch MSNBC and pretty often one of their programs is Lawrence O'Donnell. They have a fund called the Kind Fund, where they buy desks and also provide scholarships for.
We've been trying to get in touch with him for years now, so if anybody has a contact,
Yeah.
can help us.
All right, and I apologize to cut this short, and Sydney just said, I think the snow's starting to fall. So we're gonna move on, but as we do, I'm just gonna kind of quickly just go through just a couple slides just to give you an idea of like, this is the secondary school. This is what it looks like while it was being built. That's the library. Um, that's somebody who graduated and has now come back to teach and kind of hits this. I'm going to keep this going here. So, and then we do support preventative and clinicals out in the field. And
Because I'm so worried about you guys getting your plane, why don't you just end with telling them about their housing initiative?
okay, great,
What
great.
VIP is doing.
Okay. I'm going to, and I won't show the video, but we have a video talking about the need for housing. So in in our catchment area, in our villages, we've built a school and we've built a clinic, healthcare clinic. So the school, we are looking to put in a girls' dorm. Girls have to walk to school very far distances. They can be harassed. There can be they're culturally, when they come home, they're the ones in charge of fetching water. They're the ones in charge of going out to the field and cleaning. So we can have a girls' dorm, which they've come to us. It's not our vanity project. It's they've come to us and they said this is how girls are going to be able to stay in school and this is how they're going to be educated in an equal manner. So we want to build a girls' dorm. It's going to house 40 girls and as well as a house for like a house mother called a matron there. And that way, the girls that have to walk very far, maybe up to 12 kilometers, can stay on property and be able to stay in school and be able to take advantage of all the benefits of being on property. And so that's one of our initiatives. And then it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's for that girls' dorm. It's about $300,000 to build out 40 20 rooms to house 40 girls and the house for the matron. And then also, we built a clinic and we built clinician housing because it's so remote. I think maybe quickly you saw on the map that Conda was way out, and it's so remote that to bring clinicians in, we have to have housing. So we built houses and we have them there, but the clinic is booming. I mean, people are coming and they keep coming to the clinic, so we do need more staff housing. They're putting them in some housing around the area, but it doesn't have electricity or water. And these are people that are educated. They have medical degrees. So to put them in back, they've earned this way all the way going to school to get out of the small villages and live like that. And now they're coming back in. So we need houses to keep the best of the best to staff at our housing. So we are building a block of houses, like a row house, to house 4 new clinicians, and that's roughly $218,000. So I just want to give you guys an idea that as you contribute to your housing, that's where those funds are going to go. It's to keep girls in school and to house clinicians to help the.
So I'm staying around if anybody wants to continue the conversation, but I have to get Rich and Sydney on the road. Yeah, Diane.
When I told people about this girls' housing, people have said, well, what about the boys? Why aren't we providing for them? So speak to that.
Yeah. So like Rich said, the girls have a much more challenging situation to stay in school. Like Rich said, they have more of the home responsibilities. As soon as they get home, they're fetching water, doing these other chores. But another thing that's we like never even think about, uh, girls have a monthly menstruation, and if it's so taboo. They're so scared. They don't have access to sanitary, supplies. And so the thought of, excuse me.
We
Yeah.
just give another. Thank you very much.
That was great. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. Um, something as simple as not being able to, if they have to stay out of school 5 days a month, they can't compete on the exam. And so the girl dropout rate is very, very high. And so that's why we want to give them an opportunity to dorms. We're distributing what they kits where they have reusable pads in them, and they don't spend their money on underwear. Like that's a luxury. All these kinds of things are considered a luxury. Also, when you're coming from a remote area where you don't have access to birth control, girls get pregnant. And so the parents want to invest in the boys because the boys don't get pregnant, so they're a better risk than keeping the girls in school. And so these are the reasons why we want to build a girls' dormitory. We're putting a lot of emphasis on education, sex education. So it's a lot of interwoven things that we never even think about that they're dealing with over there.
That's wonderful. My question though, or the question that was asked me, how do the boys get to school?
Oh,
And is that
they walk, they ride bikes.
okay?
It's just easier for them to stay in school.
Got it. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
And eventually, we do hope, like that's not in our 3-year plan, but in 5 years, we do hope to have a boys' dormitory as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
This is a very precise question, but it reminds me of when I was down in Mexico. Where do the bricks for the buildings come from?
Yeah, like in Pharaoh's time, they make the brick.
Well, and that was why I was thinking about it, because when I was down in Mexico, there was a women's organization that learned how to make bricks.
Yeah.
And
When we
selling
go
the bricks
there,
all over the
did
place.
you do that?
Oh, yeah.
When Americans come, they're in the mud pit. They're collecting water, and the women are collecting water and bringing it to the mud, and the men are stomping around, and we're throwing mud into slabs. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions?
I have a lot, but I don't want to hog up time.
Is English a second or third or language in?
Yeah, the Chichewa and English are the national languages. So they start teaching English in the primary school. When you get to secondary school, all their classes except for their Chichewa class are in English. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is there a mentor program for all these people who have no parents? Like, is there an official program where someone can take a child under their wing, or they just kind of do it naturally?
It's usually the relatives, but like in Sydney's case, his auntie lived right next door to him, but she was so overwhelmed by her own poverty and children, and so she couldn't really care for them.
So like, who
So,
helps him? Like, who, you know what I
He
mean?
did.
Like,
yeah,
yeah, but he was 9. They said he was
Yeah,
9,
he did.
right? I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Child development.
Like VIP
Yeah.
gave him a goat, and then we sent him to school. But yeah, it's heartbreaking to watch. Yeah. So much. Yeah.
You mentioned, the parents want to invest in their sons for education. So are they having to actually pay money for them to go to the school?
Oh, yeah.
If so, how much? And
Yeah. A secondary day school, so a community school, so there are all tiers, like in the United States, and it's determined where you're placed according to your national exam results. So like Sydney was accepted to a private secondary school. So I want to say that was like maybe $70 a semester, but they'd never be able to afford that. So I think we have maybe 85 students now who are paying scholarship for secondary school and 25 for college. And like Sydney said, those kids coming out of the village who don't have access to electricity, who are catching water, to be able to compete in the national exams to get into university, it's so competitive. And so they're cream of the crop. They're like, how did they do that?
Really. Because we've been doing this housing initiative, I'm always interested in who owns the property.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about Sydney being parentless. And did his family own the property? Did they pay rent? And does he have a place to go back to if he wants to? And all those questions.
Yeah. So the people in the communities in the villages, they have their own land. It's all been passed down. Like Mwalabu, who's my age, he told me when we were young, there was no such thing as hunger. They had enough food. They were able to let fields go fallow for a year and grow on a different piece of land. But because of Malawi is a very peaceful country, but because of countries surrounding them who are warring, there's been a huge what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, influx of refugees, and then also poor people, until they know that their children will survive, they have big families, and so once we can get food security in and health systems in that tell women my children will survive, they automatically choose birth control then. You don't have to go in and do education. Women choose that when they know that their children will survive. But yeah, they have their own land. Sydney has his own land with his brother, where they have a house, and so he can go back to that. But and then so the houses that we're building, the chiefs give those. So we're building for the structures, the clinic and the school. And so they gave VIP the land to build the school and to build the clinic. And so VIP has those until we want to turn that back over to the community. But the chiefs have also provided us land to build houses so that the clinicians and teachers could stay. Yeah.
I want to just say that when we went over to Malawi in 2008 with VIP, this was 2011.
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
They were relatively new in the area, right?
Mm-hmm.
They gathered representatives of 8 different villages together, and the men had their own group, and then the women and children were in 2 other groups. They gave them newsprint and something to write with, and they were asked to write down what are the problems in your village. And then they brought the 3 groups back together again, and they asked them to prioritize. Now, what are the most important things? Okay. Or actually, they listed the things that were on the same on the different in the different villages. And then they were asked to prioritize. And the way they did it was they drew a grid on the sand, on the dirt, and they used like a stick to represent food, a nut to represent water. Basically, they were able to prioritize those 6 different problems that the villages had, and then they voted on them. Okay, is water more important than food and all this stuff? But then that didn't stop them, because out of that group, they said food security is the most important. Water is the second important, etc., etc. Then they went back to the villages and the villages realized that clean water was the most important of all of those things. All of those things were important, but that water was the most important. I really give VIP a lot of credit for making sure that the people owned it, but not only the people, but the chiefs. She was talking about working with the chiefs of each of the villages. You don't know how, of course, they were mostly men, not all men, right? But mostly men. But having them buy in, because it takes a lot of courage for them to speak out and to branch out and to risk. So VIP was very savvy and very important in helping them work together so that for the common good, we talk about that. But I just really want to shout out. I do that whenever I'm talking about VIP,
Yeah.
lifting up that wonderful exercise that really impacted me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, that's a
If
great
you ever
memory.
get a chance to go over to Malawi, which some people are having a chance to do, because it's transforming. The other thing that Malawians will teach you is the importance of faith. Oh my gosh, their faith is so much greater than any of ours. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liz, just doubling off that, could you speak to about, when you take people over, is it always a church group? Do you ever take individuals that may not be attached to a church group? That just say a little bit
Oh,
about that.
sure. Um, this year we have 4 organized teams going over. You're welcome to still join. Uh, I'm leaving in the middle of February. I'll meet the Takas over there. And then we have a team of beekeepers who are coming, who work with our farmers in the villages. So you heard on some of the videos that some of these people have become beekeepers. It's all because of our beekeepers who came over and taught them beekeeping. It's very different, the beekeeping over there. It's very different. But they're going back over to continue to work with them on honey production, because the farmers talk about how the bees do all the work, and yet it brings them an income, a great income. So there's beekeepers. Then following that is a medical team. Some of you know the Gradwells. The Gradwells go on our medical team, providing dental care. We have nurses, doctors, PAs, pharmacists. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you don't even have to be a medic. You can come and be a support person. So those 2 teams are coming in March. And then in July, there are 2 opportunities called friendship trips. And those are for people to come and to just pair up with a Malawian, spend a day doing what they're doing. And then we also will go visit VIP projects. We also, if the community is building a bridge or making bricks for a preschool, or we'll participate in projects like that. But it's really seeing life from a Malawian perspective. So yes, we would love for people to come on those trips, because it gives you so much insight. And then when you come back to the United States, that's when your real work begins, because your real work is to testify how God is moving over there.
I realize you could answer this in 3 or 4 words or 3 or 4 pages, but somewhere between. How does local government work there? Don't need like a textbook on it. I would be interested, but other people might not. But how does local government, how does everything you're doing or anything you're doing tie in with the local government? I know you mentioned the chiefs twice already.
Yeah. So, it was a British protectorate, which mentioned
So 1964.
yes, and then it got its independence. And so they adopted a lot of the British ways of doing things. So their government is a parliament. They have MPs and so uh, it's still unclear to me how the chiefs and the government interface.
Okay.
But they have a forum where the chiefs all come and let their needs be known to the government, and then the government, like if they have a USAID grant, then they spread it out among the different villages, and nonprofits are usually the ones to implement that. We, VIP has chosen that we don't want to get involved in those kind of grants because suddenly your agenda shifts to what the agenda of that funder is. Our communities, like Diane was pointing out, the communities and our staff are the ones who drive our agenda.
So
Just because,
no, I'm going to bring it to a close because we promised her we'd get her on the road by 11 because she's got to drive. So let us express our appreciation. And obviously, we'd like to hold on to it for another hour, but
It's so much fun.
we're
There's
grateful
so
that the snow did hold off,
Yeah.
and I don't think you'll have any problem yet. But anyway, we will release you
Yeah.
and release you all. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Porter, would you just pray?
Yes.
Yeah. There's that.
Oh Lord, we give you thanks for the call you made to Liz and her husband, and for all those who've joined in that call through the years, both short term and long term. And we pray for VIP that you would continue to guide and bless their ministry, that they may continue to be guided by the needs of the people and not other agendas from outside or even from within. And give them the resources they need and the wisdom how to stretch those resources as far as they can go. And may we all indeed be aware of our blessing and see how we can support this ministry and other ministries that seek to meet the basic needs of others. We pray all this in Jesus' name, and we also pray for safe travels for all who hit the road or the skies. Amen.
Thank you, Porter.
Yeah.
Can't wait.